How about now? Do you see me? Do you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, and all right. So let's get started with this. Apex new features and roadmap. And thank you, Romanian Oracle user group, for having me here today. And it has been really nice. We had a nice hands-on lab session workshop in the afternoon, and then now let's learn something new. What's new in Apex, and what is the future, and what's coming up in the next upcoming releases. So safe harbor, as always, do not make any purchasing decisions based on the talk today. I might be talking, most of the things that I'm going to cover are production, but there are certain things which are not in production yet. So do not, which might or might not make into the final product. So do not make any purchasing decisions based on the talk today. This is me. I've already been introduced. This is quick description. Like, I am from India, and I joined Oracle Bangalore in 2005, and I moved into Apex team as a product manager in 2010, and I'm responsible for Apex product management. On the screen, you see my Twitter handle, so please do follow me, and you can learn what's happening in the Apex world and in the Oracle database world. Okay, Oracle Apex. So I don't need to give that much introduction about Apex because we are talking about Apex new features. Just a quick thing before I get started with, let me just stop my video so it's not a distractor. Just give me a minute. Stop my video. How do I do that? How do I stop my video?
If you use the browser, I think you need to, let's say, from the address, browser address bar, you have a camera on the right side in the address bar of the browser, and you see the address
No,
bar of the browser.
I just see a picture. It's okay. Is there a way where you can stop it, or?
Yeah, I can see the camera
Oh yeah,
icon.
I can stop it. I can stop it.
Okay.
Okay.
It's
all right. Good. Okay. So you still see my screen, right?
Yeah, we can see it.
Yes.
Okay. Good. So building applications 20 times faster with 100 times less code. Oracle Apex is a low-code application development platform for Oracle database. Using Apex, you can quickly build compelling applications that solve real business problems. Apex is the world's most popular low-code platform for enterprise applications. And you don't need to be an expert in a vast array of technologies to deliver sophisticated solutions using Apex. All you need to do is just focus on the business problem and let Apex takes care of the rest. Now, why are we talking about the new features today? Apex has seen a tremendous growth in the last couple of years. And what we are talking today is Apex 20.2, which has been named as an epic release with loads of new features, with a plethora of new features, as I say, thus making building applications easy and faster than ever. Apex service. Now, before going ahead with Apex 20.2 new features, I would like to touch base on Apex service, which is a latest addition. We call it as Oracle Apex Application Development. You know that Apex, apart from on-prem, apart from being on the cloud, Apex is you can use Apex on Oracle Autonomous Database, and then now in the last couple of days or maybe a couple of weeks, you would have seen Apex Application Development Service announcement. So this is the latest addition, an easy to use, fully managed enterprise class service on Oracle Cloud, Apex Application Development plus deployment on plus Oracle Autonomous Database and on Exadata Cloud infrastructure. So what you get with this is the best low-code environment on best cloud database, which is Oracle Autonomous Database, on best database infrastructure. Apex Application Development Service is low cost and elastic, which is a fully managed mission critical stack for $360 per month, $250 per OCPU, and $120 per terabyte per month. It automatically scales up and down, supports dozens to millions of users, and scales up to 128 OCPUs and 500 terabytes of storage. Each OCPU supports hundreds to thousands of page views per hour. So you can imagine the power of Apex Application Development Service. And no extra fees per user, per developer, or per application. On the screen, you see cloud.oracle.com/free. So I would encourage all of you to try Apex service on Oracle Cloud free tier. Let me just quickly show you. So once you sign up for free cloud tier, or once you sign up for an Oracle cloud service, Oracle free cloud tier, cloud.oracle.com/free. Once you have a free tier, then all you need to do is just go to your browser and then just go to your OCI console, click this guy, and then scroll down. You would see Autonomous Data Warehouse, Autonomous Transaction Processing, and then you see database related services. Underneath that is Apex Application Development, and clicking this, you see Apex instances. So you can go ahead and create an Apex instance and then get started with building your applications and deploying your applications. So this is in short about Apex Development Service or Apex Service. So let's get back to the slides again. Oracle Apex 20.2 new features. Well, the first thing that we're going to talk about is, as I mentioned, we have a bunch of features. We have a plethora of features in Apex 20.2 that's calling it as an epic release. So one of the primary feature in Apex 20.2 is the new cards region. So what exactly is this cards region? A cards region is now a native report region type in Apex. It's a lightweight report region. I'm sure people who would have used Apex has been using Apex since the past. You know that cards implementation is very much there. But in releases prior to 20.2, cards implementation is a classic report and the layout is controlled by the cards template. But now, starting 20.2, it is a native report region type. And in earlier releases, cards region needed a SQL query wherein you need to specify a column alias. But now you can create a cards region declaratively using a table, a query, or a REST data source. And in the past, cards region implementation is server-side rendering, but now it is client-side rendering. In the past, cards region used to be hard to customize, but now you see declarative customizations. So why do you use cards? Basically, on my screen, you see budgets demo and backgrounds demo. So where you see cards, basically, which are representation of small blocks of information. Now, starting 20.2, because of native report region type, you can use cards in 3 different styles with icons or initials or images as part of the body or as the background as you see on the screen. You can embed images either from a blob column. If your table has a blob column, you can use the blob column as a source and also URL or a video in iframe. And if in some cases, probably you might want to have your cards to be actionable. For example, if you click on this guy, it should navigate or redirect to a different page, something like a form, for example. So such things are very much possible by creating something called as actions. So you can add actions to each card's image. You can add to title as new buttons or even using the entire card. And as you see, it is completely declarative and very flexible to customize. And I'm sure you would have heard about faceted search or used about faceted search. So card region can also be used with faceted search. The next feature in 20.2 that I'm going to talk to you is Redwood UI. I'm sure all of you know about Universal Theme, and Universal Theme starting 20.2 supports a new Redwood Light theme style, which is available via Theme Roller. So all you need to do is just go ahead and then update your Universal Theme so that it picks up the latest Redwood Light theme style. Now let's quickly on to a quick demo, and then we'll come back to the slides again. Let me just show you the demo. Let's close this guy. Right now, I'm in my apex.oracle.com, and I'm in my workspace. So all I do is just go to App Builder, and then I would like to quickly create an application. So I'm going to demo how to create cards and how do you use cards in Apex 20.2. So first I'm going to create a new application and then give it a name, for example, cards demo. And then what I'm going to do is add a page. For example, click add page, and then here you see cards. So this is new in 20.2. I give it a name, for example, cards, and then I select a table name. I just select EMP as a table name. And there are three types of layout for a card. You can have grid, float, and horizontal. I accept the default grid. And as you see, because I'm using a local table as my source for the card page, for the card region, it picks up the title column by default, body column by default, and let me just quickly select initials column as well. And also I'll select the badge column. Badge column, let's say department number, and it's say add page. Now let me add one more page. As I mentioned in the slide just now, you can use cards with faceted search. So let's go ahead and add a faceted search. Faceted search with cards. And then here you see report and cards because I would like to show using cards. So let me just select cards. And for table, let me just pick up EMP again. And then you see that e-name and job has been automatically picked up. And let me just quickly select e-name. And then for badge column, let me just select department number and say add page. For my demonstration purpose, I'm going to add one more page here. I'm just going to add an interactive report page. Let me just quickly add an interactive report, calling it this as interactive report. And then what I'm going to do is pick up the same table, EMP, and then I'm going to include a form as well and say add page. Okay, now that I have added three different pages, let me just go ahead and then create this application. Let's create application. So we now have two different card pages. One is the cards page, which we created on EMP. And the second one is a cards page with a faceted search, which we're going to see right now. So let me run the application and then give it my username and password. Okay. So now I see three different pages. So let me just quickly click cards. This is how a cards page will be displayed for me. And then the second thing is a faceted search with cards. So you see here the facets, and then to the right side, instead of report, I see cards now, right? So you know pretty much about facets. So as you select automatically, the page gets refreshed and you see the cards, corresponding cards to the right side. Okay, so this is about quickly about the cards display. Now you might want to ask me like, okay, so I have cards, so how do I create a link so that you know this particular card is clickable? So to do this, let me just click edit page 2, and then now in my page designer, so what I do is I just go to cards and then go to attributes. Sorry, let me just go ahead and then click cards, and then let me just click action. So I said like I can create action, so create action. I can make a button linkable, clickable, a full card clickable, title, subtitle, and media. So let me just make full card and then redirect page to application. Now I'm going to give a page name. Let me just pick up the form page that I just created page, and then here I'm going to pick up the term EFI employee number, and then the value is employee number. And then for clear cache, we just put 5 and then say OK. So now let me just run the page and see what happens. I make the full card clickable. So if you just hover over here, you see that the card is clickable, which takes you to the form page. Right? Pretty simple. And then let me just show you quickly another thing. So I go to this particular edit page, and then I would like to create another page. So let me just create a page. This time I'm going to display some images in my card. So let me just go ahead, go to report, and then let me go to cards. And then let me give it a name like products. And then see next. I create a new navigation menu entry. Next. And then, like you see, the data source can be local database, REST-enabled SQL service, or REST data source. So I'm going to go ahead with the local table itself, and then let me just pick up a table which has a blob column. So demo product info has a blob column which I would like to display image from. So that's done, and then the table is picked up, and now it should display me the next set of things like the layout, title column, body column, and let me just select icon initials. Let's say product name again, and then for badge, let me just select category, for example, and say create. Okay, so now that this has been done, my report, my card will display automatically. However, I would like to have an image. So to do this, I just go to attributes, scroll down, and if I go here, I see media. So for no media, let me just select a blob column, and for blob column, let me select a blob column, which is product image, and scrolling down, I have to give the last updated column so that it gets in the cache, and then I can later use it. And then I need to set up the primary column, which is product ID. Let me run the page and see what happens now. Okay, so now you see that the image is displayed in the card. So this is another example of cards region, basically. Now that we have covered cards, let's talk about a Redwood theme style. Okay, so I have already upgraded to universal theme, and I'm on 20.2. So what I do is right now, if you see, this is how the display would look like. Let us see what happens if I just quickly select theme roller. And then what I do is for theme style, let me just select Redwood line. And the moment I do it, you see that my look and feel of my application has completely changed. I set it as current. That's it. So I close this guy. Now you see my application has been refreshed with Redwood Light theme style. So if I click cards now, you see the glorious colors, right? Faster search with cards. It's completely different look and feel of my application. All right. So let's just go back to the slide again. Okay, so the next thing is to talk about faceted search enhancements. Okay, so we already know about faceted search, and we have already just discussed about faceted search page with the cards. So faceted search, the visualization basically in 20.2, you would be able to see facet value counts as a bar chart or a pie chart in a dialog or dashboard area as you see on the screen. So not just the filtered report or a refresher report, but you'll be able to see the charts of the current facet value counts as such. And then you can also create groups of checkbox facets for Boolean columns. Like if your tables, if your data has some Boolean columns, as you see on the screen, if there are some Boolean columns like on leave, is manager, is new hire, you can create groups of checkbox facets on these columns. And the new addition to faceted search is input field facet type in 20.2. It supports user entered value with facet column. Like you can enter some text, you can enter some value, and it displays the facets accordingly. So let's quickly go to the browser and see. Okay, so I'm just gonna go to my home, and then let me just go to app builder. I already have a faceted search demo application created. I just want to show this, so let me run this one. Okay. So I have two pages here. The first thing, let's just quickly go through employee faceted search page. As you see on the screen, the moment I select this, the filter gets, the report gets refreshed. So let me just deselect these guys. And the topic for us to discuss today is this particular chart. So if I click this one, it shows a bar chart, and it is an option for me to turn this to a pie chart. So I can toggle between a bar chart and pie chart. And what you see here is a chart which is displayed in a dialog. Now, if I want to have this chart to be displayed in a dashboard here, what am I supposed to do? So simple thing is that go to your page designer, and then in your page designer, just go to your search, and then you see here attributes. So this is one more new feature as part of developer experience. Attributes for a particular region or for a particular component has been moved from the tree to the right side, which is next to the region here, right? If you have printing, printing would display next to attributes. So attributes and printing have been moved from the tree to the right side. This is another new feature in 20.2, right? So this is for developer experience. So it's very easy now to locate attributes. So I'm just clicking attributes, and then just copy this selector guy, and then let me just go to chart, for example. And now instead of pop-up, I make this a selector, and then here I'm just pasting chart selector. Let's see, even run the page. Let's see what happens now. So if I click this one, it should come in my dashboard page. If I click this one, it should come in my dashboard page. Click this one, it should display the dashboard page. And also you see the report underneath. Right, so this is one such feature. And then faster search enhancements. Let's not go to facet groups and input. Now on my screen you see here there are 3 different Boolean columns like on, leave, manager, and new hire. These are 3 Boolean columns on top of which I have created a facet group, because let's go here and see this. Edit page 3. So once I'm here, I see this is a facet group here, and this facet group includes check boxes like on, leave, manager, and new hire. So it makes easy for someone to search basically. So if I just have to go here, I can add another checkbox type, and that can be part of the facet group as such. So selecting this, for example, let's just let's just go back to this, not this one. Let's go to on leave, for example. You see the particular total row count, and it also has the chart accordingly, and manager, and similarly on hire, new hire as well would display that. The next important thing for us is to input field type. So salary, as you see here, is a range facet type. Now I would like to make this as input field so that I can get the results that I really want to. So let me just go back to salary, and now it is range. So I would make this input field type, which is a new facet type. And for comparison operator, I'm just making it as greater than, for example. Okay, and just make this as greater than, and prefix text is USD, and then let me just save and run the page. Okay, so now it is displaying as an input field. So let me just enter 2,500 and see. Okay, so now it displays, because some error over here, so it displays all of the salaries which are greater than 2,500. All right, so that's about faceted search enhancement. So let's get back to the slide. Okay. Okay, so now. Okay, so the next one is report printing. So this is another, we have made a lot of enhancements to report printing. The first important feature is adding in built-in PDF printing and native Excel download facility or feature for interactive reports, interactive grids, and classic reports. So instead of using a print server, a remote print server, or instance setting, something like BI Publisher, for example, or BI Analytics Cloud Service, you can have native printing, that is printing. PDF printing is built into the Apex components now. So you can just change the setting in the application properties and print your reports. And the other feature that we have added is we have added Chinese, Japanese, and Korean language support for PDF printing. So on the screen, you see that particular one as well. And then as part of interactive reports sent as email, all download formats can now be attached. You see on the screen. And then we also have something called as export data only for interactive reports and interactive grids, wherein none of the customizations, but just the data can be exported or can be downloaded as a PDF. And as you know, we have a BI Publisher, which is part of the Oracle Analytics Cloud Service. So you can have BI Publisher integrated with Apex. So we have workspace level configuration of BI Publisher API that supports authentication, and which allows for Analytics Cloud Service as a print service when you use Apex on autonomous database. So which is specifically for autonomous. And we now have Apex region.export data and Apex data export APIs. So let's quickly get back to a quick demo and see what it is. Okay, so I do have one more app here, which is report printing demo. So let me just run this guy. Okay, something wrong. Okay, just create a new session. Just create a new session. Yes. All right, so I do have two things. One is built-in PDF printing. As you see on my screen, I have two types of reports. Let me just go back to salary report. If I just export it as is, as of now, for example, if I just download this as is, let me just download this as PDF and say download. So what you see here is just a basic PDF, right? So with no customizations allowed. Why? I have all of the customizations available in my interactive report here. Like I have highlights, I have the report which is having a control break on the job. So how nice if I have these as my as part of my PDF as well. So what I'm going to do is enable native printing. So I go to application and I go to edit application properties, and then under report printing, instead of view instance settings, I'm just going to change this to native printing and say apply changes. Now if I come here, let's close this. Now if I come here and then go to download and say PDF, let's see what happens. So my PDF now would show all of the customizations that I have made in my report, right? So it's pretty nice, elegant, and a very nice look and feel of your report as well. And apart from this, there is other language support. So let's click this one, other language support, You see here Chinese and Japanese characters. So if I go here and then download this PDF and then say download, you can see the Chinese and Japanese characters and Korean characters as well displayed in my report, which is a new feature. All right, so other thing that we have discussed is that you can have send us email where you can have all of the types of attachments that are possible, and then you can also set the page size to different times, and we also have a page orientation, right? So this is one new feature. Let's go back. Okay, automation. So this is a fantastic new feature which has been added to 20.2. What exactly are automations? Automations basically are you automate some business process. Let's say, for example, there is a new hire in your team, and the manager should get an email alert that there's a new hire, and you should be ready for induction tomorrow. How do you automate this particular business process in an Apex application? So what you see here on the screen is automations, which are conditional set of actions, which are automatically triggered by the changes that happen in the database tables. And these changes can be based on the query results, which are based on table or view, SQL query, local database, or REST-enabled SQL, or REST data source. And automations are used to monitor data and then perform an appropriate action. Like one of the use cases that I just explained can be like auto-approving specific requests or sending email alerts. And you can use Apex automation package, and automations can be triggered on schedule or on demand by invoking the Apex automation package. So let me just quickly show you how do you do that. So you just go to your application. I already have this. So I go to app builder, and then I have this automations demo. I already have an email template built in. So I go to email templates. My goal is to send a reminder to my to the manager so that the new hire is joining tomorrow. Okay, so I have a nice email template built in here. And then what I do is that I go to shared components again and go to automations. And then here I would create a new automation, right? And schedule this either on the daily at midnight or on the hour, or basically every 15 minutes. I can also have some custom, give it a name. And then once I do so, I have my automation created. And this automation basically, like as I said, can be dependent on table SQL or PL SQL, or it can be on REST data source or whatever. So if you see on my screen here, you see that there is, sorry, up a bit. It's an automation built in, and then the select statement that which would fetch the employee hire date, the manager details of the employee, and there is an inner join for the EMP table, so which would fetch the manager details for me. And here I can set an action, and this action basically would send an email alert to the hiring manager stating that, hey, you know what, tomorrow your team member is joining, and so get ready for the induction training. So that email can be sent, and this is automated. The entire business process is automated basically. Let's go back, and then now let's go to REST data source synchronization. So we do have 7 more minutes, and I'm just going to cover the remaining features. So web source modules, as what you'd have been using in the previous releases, this web source module is renamed as a REST data source in 20.2. And then how do you create? Pretty much the wizard is the same. There are some options. There are certain new things added in, and then Apex now declaratively supports a REST data source synchronization to your local table. So basically, instead of using a REST service, you can have the data synchronized to your local table, and instead of using the REST service directly, your Apex component, something like an interactive report, can use the local table instead. And then you can have this local table, you can have append, merge, and replace synchronization types to your REST data. Okay, so instead of using a REST data source, Apex components can use the local table. You can also configure HTTP request limits, commit intervals, or delete methods, or replace modes, or whatever. The other feature in 20.2 is REST data source connector plugins. So Apex now supports connector plugins for external REST APIs. Okay, so why this is used basically, because you want enable Apex to completely leverage REST API features. Like sometimes you might want to have result pagination or server-side filtering, and it will allow for third-party REST services which are not Oracle REST data services or Oracle Fusion SaaS services. So here is the thing. As you see on the screen, you first create a plugin, you import a plugin, you create a plugin, or this plugin, then you can create a REST data source type of this plugin of a REST data source type. So first you create a plugin of REST data source type, and then this plugin would actually handle the REST specific information or implementation details, like how should be the pagination style, or how should the filters be passed to the REST API, and things like that. Now, when Apex invokes a REST data source, Apex engine will invoke the plugin code, and then it will pass all the relevant context information. This plugin code basically would execute maybe one time, or can be multiple HTTP requests, and then pass on the results back to the Apex engine. And then finally, Apex would process the REST response received from this plugin. So that's how the entire flow would work for when you use REST data source connector plugins. And then we have something called as query URL query string and HTTP header types for web credentials, which are the new web credential types in Apex 20.2. So this is an enhancement for the secure and encrypted credential storage. So things will not be written into the logs, as such is completely secured. And then a web credential can be protected by providing a URL pattern, as you see on the screen, which is valid for URLs XYZ. Then Apex will only use the web credential for URLs starting with this given pattern, and if not, then Apex would throw an error message. We have already covered this particular one, attributes, which has been moved, and also printing, which has been moved to the right side, which is next to the region tab. So this is to enhance the developer experience. From the tree node, it has been moved to the right side next to the region. And then we have introduced a new code editor, Monaco editor, across the development environment, which gives a great coding experience, basically, which will also give you, a code completion, syntax highlighting, and a lot of accessibility improvements have been addressed in this. And then Quick SQL, which is an application which will help you to build which will help you to build models, and which will help you to build quick SQL and create DDL and DML statements, has been enhanced to support now to save the model so that you can reuse that, and automatic population of a primary key using column default. We now have something called as embedded code utility. Once you go to application utilities, you can see embedded code utility over there. So this is basically used to review SQL, PL SQL, and JavaScript within your application. You might want to do some code reviews or security evaluation. So this particular utility will help you in such a case. We have introduced new items and also improvised some existing items. So we now have a new single checkbox item type, which works even in interactive grid, although it is not in edit mode, as you see here only. The same example which I have used in my faster search enhancements. Then they have some file browse item type, which has been enhanced to support rendering as a drop zone. We have also updated the CK editor 5, and then the text field item has a new text case setting, and lots of other enhancements have been made. Another important feature that I would like to talk to you today is MLE. So MLE basically is a multilingual engine. And this multilingual engine, the goal of this is to enable users of the Oracle database to run stored procedures, user-defined functions, as well as anonymous dynamic code snippets written in programming languages like JavaScript. So other than PL SQL, we can also use JavaScript for application business logic using the MLE engine, and it's available on 21C autonomous. So sign up for a free autonomous tier, and then make sure that you have your database on 21C, and you will be able to try this out. So on my screen, you see a QR code for what's new in Oracle Apex 20.2. Go to apex.oracle.com, and the features you see what's new. So make sure that you review lots of videos and blog posts that cover what I have discussed today. A roadmap quickly. This is what we are coming up with. Again, safe harbor. So what are there on the screen might or might not make into the product, or it might be this calendar year or the later, but this is what pretty much would make into 21.1 or 21.2 mostly. So we will be coming up with a native map component. So this native map component is a region type basically. So we'll be adding this in Apex, and which will have spatial features displayed. And it's not like the any chart maps as you have, and will be having something like points, lines, and polygons. So that is about native map component, and we'll be supporting complex text layout languages like Hebrew and Arabic. We'll be having native markdown support. Universal theme is going to be updated with support for dark mode. We'll have something called as importing application export as zip file, and adding in lazy loading for report types like classic reports and IR. And the data loading, new data loading for custom applications is going to be another one. We're going to modernize date picker and making some dynamic action enhancements. And as part of faceted search enhancements, so what's coming up is optional facets with end user customization. And other things which are part of the roadmap is improved lifecycle management, extended support for MySQL, runtime customizations, and additional check-based components. So this might be the later releases, but they're pretty much on the roadmap. So for more information on roadmap, go to apex.oracle.com/SOD. Learn more, go to apex.oracle.com, which is a one-stop shop for everything about Apex. And that's me. You can follow me on Twitter. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, Chaitanya. So if you have any questions, please unmute yourself.